views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the authors and guests of the podcast. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Soberless Thoughts.
I'm Mike Odenbeck.
I'm Alex Gorley.
And these are our
Soberless Thoughts.
Hello and welcome to the most riveting podcast this side of California. Tonight we're talking to the Bourbon Vixen herself. Miss Valerie, how are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We love having guests on the podcast. We love having Alex on the podcast. It's sometimes a rare thing lately.
Right.
But here we are. We're back. We're getting at it. And tonight we're going to talk about bourbon. Bourbon. Alex is a big bourbon connoisseur, actually.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
bourbon makes it better.
Bourbon makes it better.
Always.
Always.
Is that a grunt style shirt?
It is.
Okay.
I cut the shoulders off of most of my t-shirts just to give me a little extra breathing room.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is not how it came, but it is a grunt style.
Right. I just was thinking, I think I saw that on the website. I own several grunt style t-shirts. So, and I think I was going to buy that specific one for my wife, but she's got a thing about the grunt style shirts. She doesn't like them for some reason. I don't know. Anyways,
but this is bourbon makes it better. It's like preaching the truth.
Right.
Show her this one.
Right. So she should get that one for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's got their like.
Right.
Maybe you should cut the collar off for her.
Oh, that would make it so much better, and make it super low cut. She would love that.
Mm-hmm. See, there you go. Problem solved.
Right. So Valerie was telling me that she is from Kentucky, by the way, Alex and listeners.
Nice.
Or she's not from Kentucky. She's from California.
Oh.
She's from California. But they just bought property in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
Hey, okay. And we're back.
So, and that's her retirement plan, is she's going to move to Kentucky and just live off of nothing but bourbon for the rest of her days.
Yeah. There's no better plan. Every time you talk to like 105-year-old, they're always like, "What's your secret to longevity?" Like, well, I've been smoking Marlboro Unfilters and a shot of bourbon every day for the last 80 years. You're like, okay, right. Well, there's something to that.
Yes. So we bought a farmland, 24 acres of farmland in Lawrenceburg, and we're actually just a stone's throw from Four Roses. We're just right in that like same tract. You could smell the mash in the morning. It's nice. Fantastic.
What are you going to do with the farmland?
I don't know yet. I honestly don't know. Right now, just as a Californian, it's just glorious to have so much space. Like, because as a Californian, you can, at least in Southern California, we're just right outside of Los Angeles. You can't even like fathom what 1 acre feels like, right? Because we're all just like so crowded here. And so to see our property, and it's 24 acres, and like you're walking and you're walking and you're walking, like this is still ours. Like the space is just glorious just to like just, there's like, you can't see anybody, like the houses, and actually they're starting to build and there's houses there, but they're significantly far from you, where it's just like, wow, this is great. So eventually, I mean, I don't know. I do want to have probably a few cows, chickens for sure. My husband wants a goat. No, I'm sorry. He wants a donkey, maybe some goats. I don't know. Horses, probably not. I do love them, but they seem very expensive. So I don't know.
Just get one racing horse.
Yes.
And that one racing horse wins one race, and that's it.
That's all it takes, right?
Yeah.
Just one race, Derby.
Right.
That's it. You're done for life.
It's right in the we're right in the heart of the bluegrass. So I just feel like, they could raise off of that, and I could probably raise a winner. Yeah,
I don't see why not. You're in the right location.
Not to pitch you all an idea like like someone you went to high school with trying to get you to buy beauty products off Facebook or anything, but I know, like, there are people out there that, like, almost like the stock market, you can invest in racing horses where basically someone will board it and train it, and they just need like funding to like initially buy it because they're so expensive. So like you just drop in, like, you and 10 people drop in 10 grand, like whatever, you'll get whatever it gets back once now some of these they'll raise up to a certain level and then sell it again
Right.
while it's being trained. So you're like, you'll get returns on your investment. Hopefully, there's always like you get sick, something happened, break a leg, yada yada. But that's always something. You don't necessarily have to have the horse, but you can still say, I own a couple racehorses. So like, well, I own like
Right.
1%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I own the mane.
Yes.
I own the rear
Yeah, I
left
like
hoof.
it. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna run that idea by my husband. He's a certified financial planner, and let's
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah. He already knows then. He's already
Right.
got that in the books. He's
Oh,
ready
yeah.
to
Actually,
go.
you know what we've looked into is we have heard, because a lot of people want their horses to like graze on that bluegrass area, and
Mhm.
so like people will rent your property basically just to like let your horses graze off of your land. So I don't know.
That sounds like a great idea, actually.
I
Just
know.
put up some really nice fencing,
Yeah.
and it'll be just rented out space for horses to run around in and
Yeah.
enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Sounds-
it's almost like sharecropping. I was gonna say you could just like raise a bunch of hay and just like market as like top tier whatever, and especially in Lawrenceburg, you're right there, close enough to Lexington. You could get rid of so much stuff.
Oh yeah, well for sure. Like even our neighbor, the farmer who lives behind us, he mowed. There's a better term for it, but he bush hog. I don't know.
Bush hog.
All of our property, and for free for us, it was like a favor because like the land, the hay, the grass, whatever, gets really out of control. But
Yeah.
we just let him keep it, and it turned out to be 41 bales of hay that he used for his herd, his cows, because I guess you all feel like you're going through a drought right now, which is to me crazy because like in California it doesn't rain except for like once every 5 years, but I guess in Kentucky there's a drought. So he asked for our hay. We're like, yeah, sure, what are we gonna do with it?
Right.
I don't feel like there's a drought at my house.
Everyone this summer talked about how there was Alex, sorry to keep not keep you up, to catch you up to speed. We were talking about how we spend the summers now, ever since we bought that farmland, we spend our summers in Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're there for like 6-7 weeks in the summer, and so we actually just got back like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
and
nice.
I felt like everyone, that's all they talked about is the drought in Kentucky. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's rained like 5 times since
Right.
we've been here. But I don't know, apparently there's the drought.
I feel like there was one. It's definitely rained a lot more recently. Like our grass was like gone. Even like I even talked about with a bunch of people at work doing what I call, I don't know, I was gonna have like a white trash pool party where everyone brings like inflatable, like just anything that holds water. We'll just fill it up in our backyard and we can all just lay in it and just like, if you got a kid pool, whatever, you got slip and slide, maybe get like one of those things you feed cattle with, fill that thing up, and like, we'll all just kind of hang out and BS. But I kind of test drove it with a couple things and dumped the water out on the ground, and it did not help the grass at all. So I knew it was pretty bad. I guess like a month ago, maybe ish. I don't know. Side note, you are where you all are living is actually on my way to my hometown. So I always drive through like Lawrenceburg exit actually. So
Yeah.
that's a good city. Yeah. And I know exactly where y'all are at because I've been to that Four Roses and was it Wild Turkey that's there?
Yeah. We're pretty close to Wild Turkey.
Right. Yeah.
So this big sign I have in back, can you see it? It says Lawrenceburg. So Wild Turkey is my favorite distillery, and I'm trying to make it Four Roses so badly because they're literally my neighbor. But I like Four Roses.
Right.
Wild Turkey is just, their stuff is so good. And they're
Right.
still from Lawrenceburg. So I feel like, okay, Wild Turkey. That's my jam.
Right.
Just got a package. Sorry. My dogs.
Ah.
I have 2 dogs.
Get them. Get them, Cujo. Get them.
That's Jackson. So my dogs named are Jackson and Franklin. And then we also had Lincoln, but Lincoln was 19 and we had to put him down this year.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good run for a dog, though.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Yes. And we rescued him. We rescued him when they could tell by their teeth, you know. He was around 6 when we rescued him, and that was 13 years ago. So yeah,
Wow.
he was like 19.
That's amazing. Did you feed him steak? Is that
Bourbon. She's been feeding bourbon the whole time.
Bourbon.
Come on now. Weren't you listening?
makes sense?
Yeah.
My
Bourbon.
favorite bourbon is this tower right here. All right, there. You see that?
Oh, yes. Yes, Buffalo Trace, right?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Buffalo Trace.
It is.
All right. So, what are you drinking tonight, Valerie?
Okay, so I have my first pour right here that it's Bardstown Bourbon Company Origins. I was waiting for you guys. Are you gonna pour something? Are we gonna like cheersies or
Yeah,
how do we do
cheers
this?
this? I already have some
It's
in my.
gonna be me? You're just
I
gonna watch
already
me
have
drink?
some in my glass. I don't think Alex is going to drink. Alex is a non-drinker.
Really?
No, well, I've just eased back a little bit. Honestly, this podcast it was taking me down some dark alleys. Not really. I just kind of eased up for a little bit, and to be fair, I've been trying to get my computer set up. I completely forgot about grabbing something. I'd have to get up, and my beer fridge is like right there. And also, I didn't know we were drinking bourbon.
So I have a golden.
You invited the
Toilet-
Bourbon Vixen and didn't know you were gonna drink bourbon?
I
Come
have a
on.
golden toilet that I'm drinking out of. Straight. So
Okay,
what are you
I'm gonna
drinking again?
Take a picture here.
What is that you said you're drinking again? Barton's?
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm drinking Bardstown Bourbon Company Origins.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm drinking.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Let's cheers. Well, this one.
Tell me what you're drinking.
All right.
I do very small pours. I don't go crazy.
I am drinking Brothers Bond. Are you a vampire?
Oh,
Diaries?
I just bought
Yes.
a bottle of that.
That is my wife's jam. Vampire
is delicious.
Diaries. Well, like the show Vampire Diaries, and then when they started their bourbon company, Brothers Bond, she's like, "We've got to get a bottle of that. We have to." It's like my 2 favorite things. So
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know the backstory. I just bought Brothers Bond.
okay, so
And-
Brothers Bond is created by the 2 main characters from the show Vampire Diaries because they're brothers on
I
the
did
show.
not know that.
Yes.
I did not know that. I do know that they're very good looking because I follow them on Instagram. I just started when I bought the bottle, like 2 days ago. We're talking, right?
Yeah.
Very good looking gentlemen. I didn't know they were vampires.
Yep.
But the reason I bought it, you guys, I feel so dumb now. The reason I bought it is so silly. Do you want to hear it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, you probably didn't, that all last season, football season, we're diehard Charger fans. Okay, we're season ticket holders. Like my husband's got like bolts tattooed on it, like fans, right?
Right.
Okay, so last football season, every game I paired a bourbon to whatever opponent they were playing, and sometimes it was like depending on the city, sometimes it was depending on a number, like whatever it was, right? Well, this year, like the biggest matchup that I'm waiting for is Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, right? When the Chargers play the Ravens. So I was like, oh, I know the perfect bourbon to get for that. I'm going to get Brothers Bond, right? Because it's like brothers of brothers. So anyway, I bought it as I was like planning, right? And so, because I'm a teacher, right? I'm like, oh, the season, look at the schedule, right? Start my pairings. And so I was like, oh, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, even though it's like in December, I think. I already bought the bourbon, and that's why I bought it. I didn't know they were vampires. I didn't know they were on TV. That's all I know is that they were good looking.
Yeah. Yep.
And I like the name.
Yep, they are. They're the two main characters. They're brothers on the show, and and that was the thing on the show too, that they were just always had a glass of bourbon in their hands, and so that it just made sense that when the show ended, that they would start a bourbon company.
Okay, and the way it even got on my radar was because when we were in Kentucky this past summer, we went on the Kentucky Bourbon Train, or the Bardstown, what is it called? The old Bardstown Bourbon Train? Have you been? Have you done that?
Yep.
Okay. So one of the drinks that actually it wasn't one of the drinks, but it was, I don't know, someone ordered it. I ordered it. I don't really know, but it was one of the drinks that I drank on the train. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so good. It was like light. It was like a low proof. It was like such a good, like warmer upper type of, and I was like, oh, this is delicious. It was like a perfect summer sipper. And that's when it made my radar. Yeah, I could see why your wife likes it.
Yeah, it's delicious. I like it too. I mean, it's good. The only other bourbon bottle that I think we have that we still have anything left in is some Old Barton.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some Old Barton in there. So, but I think that's just about gone. Alex, we had a guy actually. The only reason I have that bottle is we had another guest on the podcast that we came and we recorded live with on my back deck, and he bought that bottle and gave it to me while we were recording, which was awesome. Thank you again, John Clark. Appreciate that.
I forgot about that. I was gonna say I have the most random bourbon selection, I feel like, at my house, to be completely honest with you. And I'm impressed by the one behind you, by the way.
Which one?
Just your whole collection behind you.
Yeah, the quality of the collection. I'm like, man, you definitely have some bottles in there, from what I could tell.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is, I mean, it goes up.
Yeah.
It's going up. And then, well, I love makers too. So every holiday, I have a maker's holiday bar, and that is all my makers. I don't know if you could see that, but those are just all like the different makers bottles, like their finished series. And I don't know, I probably have like 10 to 12 bottles over there. That's just all makers. And I kind of like interweave different thematic depending on the season. And I call it my maker's holiday bar.
Nice.
Fun. Yeah.
Do you have, is that a maker's lamp that you have there?
Yes. So I made that. So I also have another page besides Bourbon Vixen. It's called Get Lit Lamps and Candles. And I cut, so here's an example, like a Maker's 46. I don't know. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I cut it, see? And then I made a candle out of it. And then I drill. So that lamp, just grab this. I drill into the bottom of this, and then I make a lamp.
And then you just set it on top of there?
Yeah, so I had to build my own like lamp base
to
go back to like high school physics and like relearn all of that stuff. But I made my own lamp base.
You did it, huh?
My husband helped me.
You did it, huh?
He helped like cut all the wood and stuff, and then we had to like really figure out the circuits and stuff like that so we didn't die. Nice. But yeah, so so I make lamps and candles as like a little side hustle, because teachers need side hustles. Right.
I actually do the same thing. I make lamps out of old liquor bottles.
You do?
I do.
Do you drill into them?
I don't do it the way that you do it. The way that I do it, I drill like a small little hole big enough for the wire in the back, and then I feed the wire up through to the top, and then I have the actual light and stuff at the top. And like a lamp shade and all that.
Yes, I've seen that way too.
And then usually like the inside of the bottle, I'll either fill with like gravel that you would see like aquarium gravel.
Okay.
So it's colorful and it has like different types of color to it. Either that or I'll take like string lights, like the LED lights, and I'll fill the inside of the lamp with that.
Yes.
So then you can either have the big light up top on, or you can have the string lights inside on.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, there you
Alex, your wife is getting one of those lamps for Christmas, by the way.
They're such good gifts. You guys, people like always want.
Alex, I can't hear you. I can't hear you right now.
It's like, damn it. Oh.
He tried so hard to get that to work.
Alex is struggling. I feel so bad for him because I know these struggles. I have been there, Alex.
You'll be okay, buddy. You'll be okay.
I just want to be part of the group.
I know.
I do not make lamps. To rejoin the conversation, I did make. I worked at a brewery / distillery, the one I'll actually talk about on here, and we were getting like bourbon barrels from there, pretty much for free. I mean, they were about as cheap as you can get, and I was taking the staves there for a little bit and drilling holes and making basically like candle holders where it'll be like a strip, and then I'll have like 5 candles going across, and it would I would actually I had probably like 2 or 3 buckets of bungs that I would use as like foots for the staves to sit on, and then it would run across and have the candles. But that it's great. Don't get me wrong, they look great. I did it for my wedding. Like those was all the centerpieces. Biggest pain to do for the wedding. To drill into white oak that has been charred and has bourbon kind of soaked in it is insanely hard. It's like we broke like 2 or 3 bits, and my dad was like, why did we start this? I hate every minute of this.
Damn.
I'm like,
by far the hardest part of your wedding, huh?
For sure. That and I did have like probably 10 bourbon barrels I had to return, so I was trying not to get dust and char on my wedding tuxedo at the end of the night while me and my cousin are lifting these barrels back into his pickup trucks.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was. Don't get me wrong, I had a great wedding, but it was at
fun.
Oh, it was. I had a good time. It was
a blast. I had a great time, and I didn't have to do any of that work.
Yeah.
Just show up.
Right. Well, to be fair, I give my wife all the props in the world because she planned this thing, and she felt like I didn't do anything. So day of was when I was supposed to shine. So I did everything day of. So she planned it. She had fun. I got everything. She was kind of like, I don't know how you put it. She's like the producer of the movie, and I was the director of the day.
Okay.
So I put it in those kind of terms, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That way she could enjoy her day.
Did you get her gifts for her wedding? Did you give her gifts on the wedding day?
Yeah.
Wedding day gifts?
Of course.
Fuck you. That's all I can say.
Why did you not?
Do you not remember this? Okay, listen. On my wedding day, we're sitting in the groomsmen's building that we had, like that barn area thing that they had for us. There's like 10 of us in there, like 12 of us actually in there, and we're all chilling, hanging out. And then the photographer comes in and gives me a package of multiple gifts from my wife, like wedding day gifts. I didn't know, and nobody told me that was a thing.
I didn't know that.
So then I'm opening this stuff, and just the guilt is just just weighing me down each thing that I open, and it's just one awesome thing after the next awesome thing, and I'm like, this is amazing. And the photographer looks at me and is like, so like, where's your stuff to give to her? Like, where's her wedding day gifts? And I'm like, what are you even talking about? And then I look at everybody, including Alex, in the room who's with me, who are all my groomsmen, like, fuck all of you people, because nobody told me that this was a thing. And yeah, so she didn't get anything.
I would not have known that, Mike. I didn't do that.
No?
No.
So good. At least I'm not the only person. Apparently your husband didn't know that either, right?
No.
Yeah.
We didn't. But I am the one of the relationship every year. I never remember an anniversary. Never. And like sometimes I'll know what's like coming up, but then like day of, it's like, oh darn it, it's right. I knew it was around here somewhere. But like, oh, like I never have a card, like I don't get card, like we don't do gifts either. Like on anniversaries, we just, I don't know. To us, it's just like we go out all the time. We do concerts, we do vacations, like dinners, like I don't know. We just kind of every day just feels like anniversary. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. You have a good relationship. That's what
Yeah.
matters, right?
I mean, we've been married 24 years, so
Yeah.
right?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks.
You made it, especially in
I
today.
know. I feel like I might keep him around now for the long haul. Like,
Yeah. He's behind the scenes going,
No,
we'll see.
no.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what
Yes.
tomorrow brings.
but
All
yeah.
right, so I have to tell this story because this happened and Alex got half the story at dinner the other night, but he didn't get the whole story.
Oh, I
So
can't wait.
I have to elaborate for him and everybody else so I was walking around my work the other day trying to lose weight because I'm just gained nothing but weight since I started this job. And so I'm just doing, and it's like the track around, it's not a track, but it's the driveway around the building is almost the exact same as like a track around a football field.
Okay.
So that's what I'm walking around. And I got headphones on, listening to music, just walking, exercising. And I keep seeing these shadows go past me on the ground. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I look up, I'm looking around, and there are these vultures, these two vultures that are literally following me as I walk around the building. And it's not like they're just like, because one half of the building has like a tree line and trees back there. They're not just over the trees. They are directly over me. Because as soon as when I get to the other side of the building where there is no trees, they're still directly above me. So then I'm like just watching them kind of freaking out. Like, why do they just keep following me? And then a third vulture appears. And now there's 3 of them. And they're a little bit lower. And then I get around the building one more time, and now there's a 4th vulture, and they're even lower. Now I feel like I'm going to throw a rock up and hit them. They're so low. They're all just flying right around my head. And like I said, as I walk around the building, they are literally following me directly above me. I think that they think that I'm going to die. That's
terrible.
That's my assumption. They're like, look at this wounded animal down here. He's out there.
What?
He's sweating to death. It was like 90 something degrees out, super humid. I just drenched in sweat, and they're just following me like this guy is going to die. So then I'm like, so at some point I'm like, you know what? I can't have this no more. I can't be eaten by vultures. So I decide to go into the tree line. When I get around to that side of the building, I like take off into the tree line, and I'm hiding like within the tree line out of their sight so they can't see me anymore. And I stay I'm like in there for like 10 minutes just hiding out. And then finally I'm like, okay, maybe they've gone or they're just sitting in a tree somewhere waiting for me because I don't see the shadows flying around anymore. I come walking back out of the tree line, and they're gone. So they for sure were following me, thinking that I was going to die. There's no other explanation, I don't think.
I mean, that seems ominous. That seems like, I don't know.
Who was it? Somebody had told me that is an omen.
And that's the bad omen.
I think my mother told me that when I told her the story. She said that that's an omen, like somebody in my family is going to die.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Birds are bad omens like that.
See, I was thinking they thought you were crazy. Like, cause I'm sure animals in the wild that just circle around in circles over and over, like they've lost it or they've gotten so old, they're just waiting for death. So they're like, all right, well, something's not right. This guy's just making circles. We might as well just hang around here, for easy pickings, I guess.
But it's not. I guess from that height, it looks like it's not a big circle, but from the ground, to me, it's a big circle I'm walking around.
Right.
It's not. I don't know, but they weren't. They were following me in the circle, like they're doing tiny little circles directly above my head, like just waiting to swoop down and get me.
Yeah.
My eyeballs.
How do you feel? Like, how are you feeling?
I feel great now. I survived.
Okay.
I don't have survivor's guilt at all.
Good. You feel healthy and
Yeah.
sure you're fine.
Yeah, I've lost 10 pounds since then.
Yes. There you go.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh,
Alex, there's a second Alex.
There's another Alex coming on.
My computer is finally working. I was like, if this works, I will.
You'll switch out?
Yeah.
Okay. It hasn't came up yet. It's still just a screen, though.
Still thinking about it. Hey, Mike,
What?
while he's doing that, have you ever tried anything from High West?
High West.
It's out in Utah. It's like out west bourbon.
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think I have.
You need to change that. So in my other bar, I have another bar on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
I have all my High West staged there. And I was just there this summer as well. And their most popular or famous, whatever you want to call it, pours, I guess, are like Boo Rye. You haven't heard of Boo Rye? Or like Midwinter Night's Dram?
That actually sounds familiar.
That's from High West.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Or like the Rendezvous Rye.
See, here's the thing. We live in Kentucky. So if it's not a Kentucky bourbon, we're kind of like about it.
Don't be, because there are some good ones. Okay, so like High West, which is out in Park City, Utah, is fantastic. And then also, if you could see my collection up there, the top shelf of that other one is Redwood Empire. You had to have heard of Redwood Empire. That's from California.
I haven't actually. I have not heard of
What?
Redwood
Oh
Empire.
my God, my mind is like blown right now. They have Pipe Dream. Their Bottle and Bond is a Grizzly Beast. Their rye is Emerald Giant. No, you haven't heard of that?
No.
Mm-mm.
So sad.
It's very, I don't know, pigeonholed. It's like around here. I mean, even if you tell people you like Irish whiskeys or Scotch or anything like that, everyone's just like, ugh, really? Like, it's just so.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's just what it is. I mean, even when I used to bartend, it was that way. Even if I, like people would want to try something different, and like I would have like Japanese whiskeys and stuff. And I'm like, this is a bourbon, but they can't call it a bourbon. So it's like, but it's pretty good if you want to try it. And they're like, no, you do not bring that near me. And they're like, because it's not bourbon. I'm like, it's the same thing. I promise. It's just not called that, but it's about as close as you can get.
Okay, you guys have to try Redwood Empire.
Okay.
For sure.
If they have it in my Kentucky bourbon store,
they should have it.
I'll get it.
You need to look for it. They should have Pipe Dream. So
What's
Do you
the
like,
best
are you
one?
more, okay, so I love wheated bourbon, and they just came out with Screaming Titan, which is their wheated. It's freaking amazing. Pipe Dream, I feel like kind of like Brothers Bond. It's very like introductory, easy to drink, summer sipper all day long. Their rye, I have not tried. I have it. It's up there, but I have not tried it. Their single malt is Foggy Burl. Freaking delicious if you like single malts. It's probably one of my favorites. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't think they do anything wrong or bad, honestly.
Okay, so everything is amazing.
It really is. Yeah, and their like signature profile for like, you know, how they age it, and they get their unique flavor is like through the it's under the redwoods basically. So like through the seasons and the shade and I don't know, all this stuff, you know. I'm probably saying it all wrong, but anyway, it's their unique profile is from the redwoods themselves. And for every bottle that you buy, they plant a tree.
Oh, that's
Nice. A
That's actually
redwood
kind of
tree.
nice.
Yeah. Right. So
It's a redwood tree that they plant.
Or is it a white oak?
I know it's a tree.
Yeah. It's a pine tree. It's whatever.
Whatever they can get their hands
Yeah.
on.
I'll have to look and see what kind of tree it is, but
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
So
you go.
do you stick to only bourbon when you drink?
No, actually, when I go out, I will usually get my first go-to drink is usually like a vodka soda.
Okay.
Kettle One. Like Kettle One is my favorite.
Normal girl stuff.
Yes. Kettle One and soda, because that's just easy. You know, I'm always like, oh, the calories. So that's just easy. You can find it any bar. With a good dinner, like if I'm having like a good dinner, wine. Like I love wine, right? Like love wine. We're actually a member of like 11 wine clubs or something as well. I have 3 wine fridges. So it's like,
Wow.
California is easy to rack up the wine. I know that's crazy too. So, but yeah, so I love red wine, Zinfandel, like an old vine Zin, any Zin really, Pinot Noirs, those are my favorite. I like champagne. But yeah, I mean, and then if I'm home, I'm sipping on bourbon. Neat.
There you go.
Or an old fashioned. I love old fashions as well. Really love old fashions.
Well, I got a question. How do you make your old fashioned?
Okay, so I make it with a rye. So I'll get whatever. So in fact, I made one just a few days ago, and I really am enjoying this Rittenhouse. Have you ever? Rittenhouse has like I was not on my radar at all until I was at Heaven Hill, and I was up at their bar. What was like Five Guys, I think is what their bar is called at Heaven Hill, right? Is that right?
Something like that. I actually have never been to Heaven Hill, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the few I've actually haven't been to.
I think you're right though. Yeah.
Okay, so I was up there and it was a Friday. So, Five Brothers. Okay, so sorry, Five Brothers. I was there on a Friday, so I did a flight and I did their rye flight. And I think this was one of the first ones on their flight. And it was so good. And so I went right downstairs and I bought it. And I started making old fashions with this. So to answer your question, sorry, I use a rye. And then I do the bitters. I do orange bitters and then the regular, just like the regular, I don't know, yellow cow.
Yeah, Angostura
bitters. And then I take the orange. See, now I like to add just a little squeeze of the orange, which people say that's all wrong. But I like more than just like the zest. I like squeeze it, and I'll add just a smidge of like some of that orange juice. And then I will like char the orange peel.
Nice.
And then I'll do it around the rim. And then, shake it up. Cherry, Luxardo cherry, like for sure.
Yeah.
Some people don't like the cherry in their old fashioned. To me, you have to have the cherry in the old fashioned. I like it smoked, and I just started smoking my own. I don't know why before I was intimidated to do that. But if I am out at a restaurant, you guys, and they have an old fashioned. I'm ordering the old fashioned. And you guys, the more drama, like the more dramatic and the more like, I mean, I have been to places where I order an old fashioned and they bring out this like plank and they light it on fire. And then there's just like smoke and char everywhere. And I am just like, oh, in heaven, I am all about it. Like the more drama, the more smoke. So one time I was actually we went to, it was like a Mexican restaurant. We were in downtown San Diego, and my husband was just like, "Oh, they're not going to have bourbon there." And I'm like, "Well, no, it's like a tequila, right?" And so he still asked for a bourbon. They're like, "No, sorry." And I'm like, "Stop! Like when in Rome, just order something tequila." Anyway, I looked at the menu. I'm like, "Oh, look, they have a mezcal old fashioned, right? Like
Nice.
like right? It's like you like smoke, like even like High West actually." Not to bring up High West again, but they have a really good smoky, it's called Campfire. And he loves that. And I'm like, the mezcal is just going to be just like that. Get the mezcal old fashioned. He still didn't, stubborn. So I did, right? I order it. You guys, they come out with like a team, right? And it's like on a board and there's glass and there's like all this like smoke inside already. And then they take two people to like lift off this thing and there's just like smoke everywhere. And I'm just like, oh, right. And I'm just like dancing and I'm filming the whole thing. And there's just so much flair. I love it. I ordered a second one, like by the end of the night. Anyway, we get our bill and the bill was like outrageous. And he was just like, what the hell? Right. And he looks at it. He's like, oh my God, it was like your old fashions. My old fashions were like $60 each.
Oh my God.
I bet they were delicious though.
I loved the flair. I'm like, well, yeah, it took like 3 men to carry it out on that whiteboard. It was the best. So I love when I order an old fashioned and they really put that creative, dramatic spin on it. And there's like things on fire and there's smoke everywhere. Like, that's the best. You're like, wow, you're a lot.
Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yeah, no. It actually makes me curious about a mezcal old fashioned because, like, I was gonna say if you were at a tequila spot, mezcal's the way to go because it's so smoky. But no, I hadn't thought about doing that before. I feel like the weirdest tequila thing I ever tried was this guy wanted a White Russian with tequila, basically, and then he wanted to swap out the Kahlua with Patron XO, which is like a cafe, like liqueur they were making at some time. It was interesting to say the least because tequila and half milk. Wouldn't have thought it together. Yeah, this guy was he was an interesting character at this bar. The only thing I remember about him is his wedding ring was tattooed on his hand, and it was the Green Lantern ring from the comic books. And he drank those. But, yeah.
Green Lantern is a drink? I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm sure there is. There's a bar called the Green Lantern in Lexington, actually. It's a hipster bar.
There is?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Well, now you know. Now you have another spot to check out.
Yes.
I don't know if I would go to that bar. If it's a dive. It's a hole in the wall. A lot of
Are you saying she's not a dive bar type of person?
No, I'm not. No, okay. Good read, Alex.
Well, okay, cool.
He's like, she just ordered a $60 old fashioned.
Right. I was like, why are you putting me in this corner, Mike? Why are you doing this to me? I was trying to read her and I thought I read it right, but now you got me second guessing. Like, no, this is like every time I've gone there, I used to do stand up, fun fact, but I've done some stand up shows there, and it's basically like a single like room. They might have a side room, maybe a jukebox that doesn't work. The bar's been deteriorating for the last 30 years. Everybody in there is probably wearing all black, maybe with some kind of like biker patch on the back that's not an actual biker. It's like a punk band from like the late 90s or something. Like I said, it's just very kind of like hipstery kind of bar. It's not a bad vibe, but it's just it's not no $60 mezcal. It's like, cool, what's the best bourbon you got? And they're like, Kentucky Gentleman, that's our finest select. I'm like, oh, okay, well, please sir, put that on the rocks.
Okay, now what is your fit? You guys must, I would imagine you've been to most of the distilleries. Yes, no, am I wrong?
I've been to a big chunk of them, most of them.
Okay, which one's your favorite?
All right, so I'll tell you two different ones for two different reasons. And one I haven't even been. I've just seen pictures, and it's because I have a buddy that is a distiller there.
Oh, tell me.
So he, other long story short, so I'm a brewer, and me and him used to brew together at the old brewing and distilling company we worked for, and he got out of the brewing job and got a job as a distiller over at Angel's Envy.
Oh, yeah.
In Louisville, and he has sent me pictures like when he first started working there, and it was immaculately clean and well organized. Like you could tell the people that built this thing thought it out. At least coming from like the production side of like making this stuff, I'm like blown away. So I haven't even been to this place, but I'm like, that place is amazing. It looks awesome.
Oh, you need to go. It's gorgeous. And they have their bar upstairs too is beautiful. And I don't even know how did we get into that bar? Because we should not have been in that bar, but we somehow worked our way up to that bar, and it is amazing. And they do craft cocktails. It's gorgeous. I didn't do the tour, but their tasting room, their tasting was great, and it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's like right there in downtown Louisville.
Nice.
Manny and I've been there. It was that's my wife, by the way. We had a staycation where we went to Louisville, and that was one of the places that we went to. It's amazing inside there. But my favorite is Buffalo Trace, I got to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my spot.
I like it there too. Yeah. Have you done the Blanton's tour there?
I've done everything you can do at Buffalo Trace.
Hey.
If you can do it there, I've done it there.
Yes.
Including go to places I probably wasn't allowed to go to, take pictures I probably wasn't allowed to take pictures of.
Even better.
But we won't go any further into that.
Alex, what's your second favorite?
So the one I actually went to that I actually really enjoyed, this is gonna sound so stupid, I don't know why, but I really liked the Woodford Distillery. I am a Woodford guy, to be honest with you. All are talking about that. Woodford has always been one of those I've kind of leaned on. It's kind of just been my go-to when I go to bars if I can find it. But it's so stupid. It literally, one of the things I liked about it is the fact they had their rick houses in the distillery like downhill from each other, and they had like the train tracks that they could literally just roll the barrels out of one, and you could watch it roll down the hill and like go through the whole facility. And for some reason I was just like, that's awesome. I don't know. I just had a great time at Woodford when we went. I probably need to go to Buffalo Trace again. It was like 110 degrees when I went there, and I was taking a tour, and I was like, if I'm sweating, I'm probably not having a good time. So I'm just like, all right, man, let's get this bourbon that I'm not going to enjoy because I'm sweating everything out.
The first time I went there was actually the day of your wedding, Alex.
Oh, really?
It was. Like, that's where I spent my morning. The day of your wedding was at Buffalo Trace with your aunt-in-law, your father-in-law's sister.
Oh, okay.
Her and I were teammates. We were
just
holding hands.
You two just going there
just
together?
The two of us walking around. Yeah, it was just the two of us.
Yeah, that's an odd couple to picture that got together and went to a distillery. But hey, I'm not judging.
Yeah, she was the only other person that was there for the wedding that didn't have anything else going on, that wanted to go do that. And I was like, hey, we're on it. Let's go.
I think I vaguely remember hearing you doing that with her, and I was like, okay, hey, like, get in that family, man. Like, you know.
That's right. Oh yeah. So in case you don't know, Valerie, Alex and I are actually married to sisters.
Wait, okay. Explain.
So
when you're in Kentucky,
sounding very Kentucky stereotypes.
Yeah, like,
elaborate.
Yeah, right.
So his wife and my wife are sisters, so that makes us brother-in-laws. Yeah.
Oh
that's how all this got started. Was me and him would be in the back of these family get-togethers where we're part of the family, but we're not the part of the family. So me and him are kind of like holding back, and
you're the outlaws.
Yeah,
right.
And we're just sitting there like, I don't know. We just started talking about wild, crazy conspiracies and weird ideologies and all sorts of stuff. And then it was literally Michael one day looked at me and was like, "You want to start a podcast? Because we could just keep talking about this stuff like all the time." I'm like, "Sure."
Oh, crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So your wives are sisters.
Yeah.
So you guys are like at every holiday together, like every Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of that.
Just about every Wednesday, really.
Yeah. We have dinner every Wednesday at the parents' house.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So all right.
And our wives could not be more different than each other.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the age difference between the sisters?
I don't know.
5 years.
Oh, good. I didn't know.
Well,
Mike, you don't know that.
I don't know how old his wife is. I have no idea.
That was gonna say I had a leg up, and I know how old his wife is because I'm like 3 months older than her, so we're like the same age.
Got it.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of
5 year difference. Okay.
Yeah.
5 year difference.
Right.
Oh,
20 and 25.
By the way, how did we not name the podcast The Outlaws?
I don't know. We could
it
have.
seemed very obvious.
I think that's taken.
Probably.
And we're thinking about adding the two sisters. They have a brother.
Yep.
And who has a wife, and she is very much also an outlaw like we are.
Yeah.
She very much is included in our conversations in the back of the room. So
yeah. You guys need to bring her on.
Yeah.
We
definitely
try to
been
talk
thinking
to
about
her. Yeah.
She's a little more shy than we are.
Yeah.
But,
And then call it the Outlaws for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I like
we'll
it.
talk about we'll try and get Jess on here.
Right.
See if that'll work.
Yes. Bring on.
She'll have to
Jules.
zoom in every podcast, every
Right.
episode. Alex, I had a dream last night,
Uh-oh.
and it was terrifying.
Oh no, was it ominous like those vultures?
A little bit. So in the dream, I was on a podcast, and we were recording live at this guy's like actual podcast studio. And we were talking about some kind of crazy conspiracy theory that made complete sense at the time in the dream, which for whatever reason, I cannot for the life of me remember exactly what it is now that it was that we were talking about. But I remember like looking at those two guys and being like, how did I not think of this before? Like everything makes sense now. And then we were leaving the studio, and those two guys were riding together in a car. And as they were pulling away from the studio, like this big truck ran a red light and slammed into their car. So I get out of my Jeep, I go running over there, I pull them out, like help them pull them out, and they're like all fucked up. And I'm like, we got to get you guys to the hospital. Ambulance comes. I ride, like they both get in the ambulance at the same time. I ride with them in the ambulance to the hospital. We're at the hospital, they're getting looked at, and then like all this part of the dream takes place like real quick. And then they like are okay. They like are released from the hospital. So we're walking out into the parking lot to get like an Uber or something home. And all of a sudden, they literally like vanish from like just gone. They're fucking gone. They just vanish. And then there's these two lights like in the sky, because I'm looking around like, where the fuck did they go? They just vanished like right before my eyes. I'm looking around, I see these two lights up in the sky, and they come down, and the way this hospital is, it's like on the edge of like a cliff or something. And I can see down into like this open area, and these two lights come down and they hit the ground, and there's like this massive explosion where the two lights hit the ground, and then there's just big fires where the two lights are. And in my head, I think like that was them, that was those two guys. So I'm freaking out. I go back to the podcast studio for whatever reason, because it was their studio. So I go back over there, and there's like a third guy there, and I'm telling him about everything that just happened. And he's like, dude, you need to like keep this on the wraps. Like, I don't want what happened to them to happen to us. So you need to quit talking about it. And I was telling him about like what we had just came to the realization of before the accident happened. And he's like, dude, I don't even want to hear any of that stuff. Like, just stop it. Just stop talking to me, period. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna try and stop thinking about it, but you know, we've got to report these guys missing. And when I said that, he's like, what guys? What are you talking about? And like in his mind, they'd already didn't even exist in history. Like they'd been vanished from history altogether. And I'm like, this was their studio. He's like, no, this is my studio. Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know there's two people named that. And he's like, and it just got weirder as it went. And then
it's like that Beatles movie.
Aliens showed up at some point. There was aliens, but then I thought they were demons.
Of course they were.
It was wild. Thank God my alarm clock went off and I woke up and I was like, you know what? I am not going back to sleep tonight.
Yeah. What rabbit hole of the internet were you reading before you went to sleep last night? That's what I want to know. And why is your brain so angry at you? Why was everything like, first they exploded, then the hospital's on a cliff, and then I'm like, good God, like it's just nightmare fuel is all that was.
I don't know, but I really wish that I hadn't drank anything. No, actually, did I drink last night? I probably did. But I really wish that I could remember what it was that we had talked about. Cause like, even when I first woke up, I was like, I need to write this down because it was so like an epiphany. And I didn't write it down for whatever reason. And all I did was wrote down, tell Alex about my dream.
Sweet.
That's as far as you got.
Yeah.
That's as far as I got in my notes.
It's impossible to remember all those details on dreams.
It is.
You need to ask your subconscious.
So I used to have a dream book that I kept when I was in high school because I would have reoccurring nightmares, and I seen a therapist about it, and he told me that to keep a log, like when I would get up, it was like a diary. Every day every night when I'd wake up from a dream, I would write down every single thing that I could think of from the dream, and then go back to sleep. And usually that would keep that dream from happening again that night anyways. But then after a while, I finally quit having that dream, and I quit doing that log. And it was a fucking terrifying dream too. It was like I would walk into my girlfriend at the time's house, and they had a big catwalk over their living room. And as you walk in the front door, it opens up into the living room, which is like a big open space, and you could see the catwalk on the far side of the room. And on that, hanging from that catwalk, was a girl in like a long black dress with like long black hair. Think of The Ring. Have you ever seen the movie The Ring? It was like the girl from The Ring with the long black hair hanging down.
The girl that like crawls out of a television set. You ever seen references to that where it's just so like over across her face? It's creepy. It's sure
very
creepy.
Sounds creepy.
But it was basically a girl in a girl in a long black dress who had like hung herself from that catwalk, and she was hanging there, and she had like long black hair, like long straight stringy black hair hanging in front of her face. And then as I like walk in and I see her, I stop and I'm looking at her, and she like, while hanging there, like lifts her head up and her hair like comes up off of her face, and she's just like staring at me like, "Arr." And then I would wake up, and that was the dream, and I would have it every fucking night, and it really, really bothered me. Obviously, I had to see a therapist about it.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. Anyways, so I don't know why are we talking about this?
Because you wrote down, tell Alex about your dream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that happened.
Yeah. Tell him my fever dream. I know. I was sitting there going like, man, I've had some weird dreams lately, but I couldn't even begin to, like, I forget them immediately. I'm like, I don't know. There was something and some people and yada yada. It's over. Don't.
Valerie, is pickleball taking off in California like it is here in Kentucky?
Yes. Everyone is into pickleball.
What is the deal with this? Are you into it?
No. But it's so funny because when we first bought our house in Upland, you've probably never heard of it, but we have quite a large backyard for most houses in California. But it had a pickleball court, which at first it looked like a tennis court, but like miniature. And so I was like, what is this? And they said, oh, it's pickleball. I'm like, what the hell is pickleball? I'd never even heard of this. And this was like 17 years ago. Fast forward to now, and everyone is into pickleball. Like, it's crazy. I don't know what I don't know why.
No offense. I assumed it was invented in California. I got to be honest with you. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, that definitely started in California. I don't know why.
I don't know, maybe.
But it was the quirkiness of it that I was just like, that seems that has like the West Coast written all over it for some reason.
Pickleball is to tennis what wiffle ball is to baseball.
yeah, probably.
100%. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's you got a little racket and a little wiffle ball that you're hitting back and forth. And that's pickleball. And they made that a professional sport. They should make wiffle ball a professional sport.
Sure. I mean, badminton's a professional sport. It's in the Olympics.
It's in the Olympics. That is true.
Right.
I'm going for another pour. What are you still on your same drink?
Me?
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, that's
your
finished.
Toilet?
And
your
my
toilet?
bottle is upstairs, so.
Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna move to.
But I do have another can.
You must have tried Kentucky Spirit.
Wild turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I was looking at the bottle.
One of my favorites. Again, Wild Turkey, Lawrenceburg.
You know,
cheers.
Brothers
and
Bond.
My pours are so JV. I do very, very small amounts.
No, that's like a perfect like ounce and a half shot.
Yeah. Perfect.
You know, Brothers Bond is made in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Indiana. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
That building that they're made in, the plant that they're made in, is the old Seagram's plant. And back when it was the Seagram's plant, I used to work for a company that would go in there and clean out their stacks and stuff, and it was insanity. I almost died in that place several times.
Smells so good. Yeah. Kentucky Spirit's one of my favorites. And Rare Breed. Like, Rare Breed is like such a good breed.
That was our favorite. We actually bought a bottle of Rare Breed. It was my wife's, I think it was my wife's birthday. And so we saved it and had a glass of it on our wedding night because we had bought this bottle like 3 or 4 years before our wedding.
Yeah. So
that's kind of what we had. That also had, because I'm a Woodford guy, she had bought me like I went through a phase where I was going through the master collection of Woodford. And they had all these like specialty ones like maple or, just kind of different other woods they kind of infused with it. And she knew I liked double oak because it had just came out. Well, she had bought me a double oaked that was like, I can't believe she even bought it. My parents and her parents all, when they heard how much she spent on this it was a pint too for this double oaked. They were all like, "You spent how much on it?" Like, hey, don't get it at all. My dad's like, "It's just whiskey." I'm like, "Yeah, all right."
I get it. I get it out.
It's just whiskey.
Yeah, my dad is vodka and lemonade kind of guy. He's just started drinking beer for some reason. But anyway,
really?
We had this. So what?
I said, really?
Yeah. Well, he was in a fraternity, so he drank it then. But in the past 40 years, this man has not touched a beer. He's just been like, every time he drank, it was literally like vodka, lemonade. I don't know why. That was just his jam. But yeah, lately he's been trying beer, and I guess it's because I leave it at the house all the time. And he tries like IPAs and stuff, and he's like, "Well, that was the most god awful thing I've ever tried in my life." He has very simple palate when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, I think one of them he tried like an Imperial IPA that was like something. The IBUs on it. I'm sorry, not the IBUs. Yeah, that's it. International Bitterness Units was like California level, like hops, and it was like make your eyes tear up. So much hops was in this beer, and he's just like, I don't know why people want to drink a pine cone, but I don't, and this is disgusting. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, for the wedding, we had that double oaked. I swear it tasted like liquid maple syrup as a whiskey. It was the hands down best. Yeah, it was so good. Even my father-in-law tried it, and he was like, "That's amazing." I'm like, I know. I need you all to stop drinking it because I got to save this for my like. Like I only have a pint of this, which we did. We saved it for the honeymoon, so we each got one shot, and it was done.
Where could I find that at?
It was a special release, and we just happened to run across it at a liquor store, Kroger. See, like, here's the weird thing about Kentucky, which you've probably come into contact with this, but you'll go into random stores or random liquor stores and find some extremely rare high-end bourbon that's just sitting there collecting dust that no one is going to buy it because everyone's kind of like my parents were like, whiskey's whiskey. But like someone that comes in there like, holy shit, you all have that? And like, yeah, I don't know, $50. You're like, are you sure? I could sell this for like $5,000 the second I walk out of this building. But so it was kind of one of those. It was like this limited release that they just had sent out to like liquor stores, and we just happened to run across it. I've never seen it since.
Crazy.
Now every time I go to my little local liquor store over here by my house, I'm gonna look just for that
double oak.
Me
dude,
too.
The label was handwritten, like it was something that you could tell someone stuck on and just like wrote all the information. It was not even like a process. Like the marketing, computer graphics guy did not even get a hold of this thing. It was just like, here's a limited release. Here's some numbers. Here, screw off. But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite ones for sure.
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
I know. I got the bottle somewhere. But
you said you finished it off on your honeymoon? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because we went to Hawaii, so I had to sneak it in a flask. So I basically emptied out a flask, sanitized it, basically like cannot corrupt this bourbon, and filled it full of that bourbon, and basically just kept the bottle because I wanted to keep the bottle instead of like taking it to Hawaii and having to chuck it. So yeah, we set out, I think one evening, me and my wife had got obsessed with this poke place that was right down the street. Not really. It was, man, I feel like I'm keep going down these rabbit holes. Basically, some local told us to go to this place where they freshly catch like all their fish for the day, and all the fishermen go there and give up all their fish, and that's where they all eat. And you basically go in, and it was just like a dime store looking kind of building, and they just had like trays full of fresh, like already chopped up poke and sushi that they were just doing on the spot. And it was probably the best like poke I've ever had in my life. but we probably went there like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my husband and I disagree all the time on what is like the best value bourbon, and he's always saying it's Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah.
But I consider value differently, and so I'm always saying it's Rare Breed. To me, Rare Breed is the best value, and he says I'm wrong because it's more expensive, or value it should be like, he thinks in terms of quantity, I guess. And so he's like, you could buy like the liter of it or whatever for like the handle.
He's a financial guy. What do you expect?
I know. And exactly. And so he's like, a handle is $25 at Costco, right? Like that's value. And I'm like, yeah, but it's 101 proof, or like Rare Breed's like what, 116 proof or 115 proof or something like that. Yeah. And it tastes so good. And it's like $50. 55 bucks, right? So to me, for the quality of what you're tasting, both are Wild Turkey. I think just Wild Turkey does so many things right. So to me, that is value. And then Kentucky Spirit. So it's so funny because then we also disagreed on what's better, Rare Breed or Kentucky Spirit. And I was just like diehard Rare Breed all the way, staunch, like wouldn't even hear his Kentucky Spirit argument. And so finally he's like, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. We're going to blind taste test, right? So, all right. So here I go, blindfold myself, 2 side by side, Rare Breed, Kentucky Spirit. And I'm like, oh, hands down. I already know this one's better. This one for sure is Rare Breed. It was Kentucky Spirit. And I was like beside myself and I'm like, what? No, Rare Breed's my favorite. So I had him do it next day. Like, let me just do it again. Clear palate, right? Go into it again, blind, same thing, Kentucky Spirit. So I don't know. I guess you can't go wrong. Both are delicious.
So Kentucky Spirit is actually your favorite.
Kentucky Spirit turns out is my favorite. I think Rare Breed is the best value. I think Wild Turkey 101 has its place with like being a mixer, like just, I don't know. You can't go wrong. And then we actually happened to be in Kentucky this summer when they did the Russell's 15 drop. That was so exciting, you guys. Have you been to their new visitor center by any chance?
No.
Have you been to their new visitor? Okay. It's gorgeous. And but they're still working on the construction, it seems, of their parking lot. Like their parking lot is not done. And they get word out that they're releasing Russell's 15 on July 3rd, right? The day before the 4th. And there's hundreds of people there and they're parked everywhere. And it's like a bottleneck to get into this parking lot. I was like, oh my God, people are going to die. We landed up so I was there, my mom was there, my husband was there, my aunt was there. So we were able to get 3 bottles of it, but there were some people who walked away with nothing. There were people in line as of 4 a.m. It was a madhouse, but it was like exciting. It was exciting to be there on the day that Russell's 15 dropped. And so for the 4th, I could wait one day and people are like, and it was $250, right? And I knew it was going to be $250. That was already the word on the street. And people are like, are you going to drink that? I'm like, yeah. Like I told you, Mike, right when I got it, if I buy it, I drink it. And I waited less than 24 hours and I'm like, it's 4th of July. It's reason enough for me. Like we're popping that open and we enjoyed it on the 4th and it was fantastic, you guys. I didn't think it could top Russell's 13, but it did.
Nice.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's delicious.
You still have some of that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I bought a backup bottle. So I have a backup bottle. So I've already drank. I'm this much into it.
Yeah. Good for you.
I'm drinking it. I'm drinking this bottle like I have a backup. When I get to my backup, I'll slow down.
That makes sense.
Until then.
I drink everything that I buy like I have a backup because I have a liquor store right around the block and I'll just go over there and get it.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I was going to say, I'm sorry. I feel like I drink kind of like you do a little bit where so here's the funny thing. I have a bottle of this Masters collection from Woodford that came out that, they were just doing this limited release. I just graduated college. at the time didn't have a whole bunch of money. I was bartending, but I was like, I'm gonna splurge on myself. So I spent like $70-$80 on this bottle. That week, I drank the living crap out of it. It was so good. I was just like, everything I was doing, I'm like, yeah, like this is great. I literally have one shot left. And I know it's probably oxidized and all that, but I cannot bring myself to drink it because I spent so much money on it, and it's still sitting there. And I'm like waiting, and I keep telling myself, when I achieve something that I feel like is worth it, I'm gonna drink the rest of that last shot of that.
Okay, well, what's gonna be your goal to allow you to drink that?
He doesn't know. He got married. He had a kid. All kinds of stuff. He still hasn't drank it.
I know. I know. President of the world. I don't know.
Drink it.
I know.
Yeah,
I need to.
You've got it propped up on such a high pedestal now.
I do. I've even told like friends and family, because I just let them. I have a liquor shelf that, I mean, you definitely have more bottles than I do, but I have quite a bit of a selection of random liquors from bartending, because I don't know if you ever bartended. If you buy like 10 cases of whatever, they'll like, hey, here's a Fruit Loop vodka, and then like, well, we don't keep that. And the bar manager's always like, you may want to take this home. Every time I'm like, yep, bring it here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. So I just stock a bar. So I just let people, when they come over, I'm like, find something, drink it, have fun. Don't touch that. That's pretty much the only one I ever.
That's how that's going to end up disappearing.
I know. Well, that's my brother was staying over at my house, because long story short, he was living in an apartment because he had sold his house because they were moving and they were in the midst of like this transition. But he was living in this apartment with his 3 kids, and he needed somewhere to go to work because he basically has a lot of phone calls, and his company is like based out of France or something like that. Anyway, he would come over, and at like 3 o'clock on the dot, he's like, clocked out. And he would just go over to my liquor cabinet and just like start drinking, because he'd come over to my apartment to get his work done away from the kids. And every day I was like, don't drink that. And I have another one that's called Duke. It's actually supposed to be modeled after John Wayne. When John Wayne died, they found like barrels of bourbon and in his house, because he was such a bourbon advocate, that he had his own like selected bourbon blend, and they tried to recreate that and basically created Duke, basically bourbon. And my dad is such a John Wayne fan. I bought it essentially with him in mind, but he doesn't like bourbon. So I just kind of kept it, and it's unopened. I've never tried it. Actually, no, that's a lie. I think I did what you did. I think I bought 2 and drank 1, and now I'm like, all right, the other one's my dad's, and one day I'll give it to him. But
well, does he know the story behind it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I told him. He was like, you can just hold on to it for me. My dad is a very simple kind of guy.
Yeah.
Alex, you know I ain't going to drink that now. Come on.
My dad is definitely a simple Southern man. I don't know how else to put it. He just
Alex, do you still have the bison grass vodka over there?
Ugh, yes, I hate that crap. Cassie's been drinking it. I've been making her I've been using it in like sangrias and all sorts of stuff for her so she can drink it. I got hungover as hell on that the first time we drank it on this podcast, and I have never wanted to touch it since. I don't know
what is it?
Buffalo grass vodka.
Bison. Isn't it bison grass? Or is it buffalo?
Oh, it is bison grass.
Yeah, bison grass.
Bison grass is literally a kind of, it's almost like bluegrass, but it's literally a piece of grass that they put into the vodka, and it flavors it, and it gets it like a little tint of like this greenish, and it gives it like almost like a vanilla-y, I don't know, medicinal flavor to it. And I don't know what it is about that grass, but man, it messed me up. So I've just been so weary of it because that hangover was just killer for some reason.
Well, we went. It was like some kind of special drink that I found, or cocktail that we found for the episode that we bought that for specifically.
Right. early on in our podcast, I had like a bar book that was like top shelf bar drinks, and we were going through making them all. But that was one of them. I don't remember what the drink was though, because I remember it was like right after we did the perfect martini. No, the James Bond martini.
Yeah. The James Bond martini is disgusting, by the way.
It's not bad. It actually tastes pretty good.
It's horrifyingly bad.
The James Bond martini?
Yeah. It's disgusting.
It's got like 9 ingredients.
Opinion.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like a little bit of, I can't remember now if it's gin and vodka, but it's like gin, vodka. There's like a fermented wine that goes into it. There's lemon. There's like 2 or 3 other things, shaken, not stirred, obviously.
Shaken, of course.
Yeah. I had to look this thing up in 3 different variations, and I did it perfect. I even took like the lemon peel and like twisted it and like put it in there. Yes. Made it all nice. And I'm tasting, I'm like, this isn't bad. It's kind of like a high-end lemon drop, but not as sweet, like, almost like a gimlet, but like more lemony. And he takes it and was like, this is gross. I'm like, dude, I just spent like $50 making this cocktail.
Damn.
Yeah, it took the entire episode for me to finish drinking it.
Yeah,
just that one. It was so bad.
So we used to have a rating scale of James Bond martini to 10, as James Bond martini was the lowest.
Ooh.
Yeah, for the cocktail drinks. Yeah.
We
need to get back into that. We need to get back into having a drink for our episodes.
Right.
And be more professional. We've been so in the slums.
Can of beer sounds good to me.
Give me a Rheingeist.
Yeah, right. Or Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale.
Yeah.
Or Country Boy. I feel like I've drank a crap ton of Country Boy, which Country Boy is a local brewery in Lexington.
All right. So wrapping this up, Valerie, I got to ask you some questions that we ask every guest.
Okay.
One is, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you while high on a party sauce?
High on a party sauce?
Yeah, that's what we call liquor around here.
Oh, okay.
Drunk.
I don't know. That's weird because I drink responsibly every single time.
Good. As you should.
Yeah.
So say nothing.
No. So, okay. So my craziest story, and honestly, like I just get like super loud and fun. I think I get fun. Loud. I laugh a ton. Everything to me is really funny, but I feel like our best drinking story was actually when my husband and I were traveling to Kentucky for the very first time. He got so drunk. I was so mad at him because I thought we're not even going to make our flight. They're not going to let us on the plane. He was so drunk. So what happened was we were going for his company trip. We were going to Kentucky. They were going to take us to Churchill Downs, and we were going to we had our own private, suite. We were going to be able to bet and do the races and stuff like that. Well, we're flying out of LAX, and we get there a little bit, or I don't know, way early before our flight. We were taking a red eye, so we just had hours to kill, right? Which already that was the problem. And so we're drinking wine at first, and then he meets some guy from Minnesota, and he's huge. He's 6'4". He weighs probably, I don't even know. He's just a massive man. And he sits down at the bar next to my husband, and he starts ordering double old fashions. So my husband, just to be polite, because they're talking, he's like, well, yeah, I'll get a double old fashioned with you. So they start just smashing double old fashions, one for one, right? And then I'm already looking at him because I'm like, okay, he's looking really terrible already. He's slurring his words, right? And he's trying to match this guy. He hasn't even stood up. So I'm like, he doesn't even know how much this liquor is going to affect him, right? Because he hasn't even stood up. Well, anyway, so I'm like, we need to go. They're calling our flight, right? Starting to board. He is already drunk. He's nutty. He's can't even carry his bags. He's a mess. We see these soldiers, right? And they're laying on their bags on the floor. I guess they're flying home. I don't even know. But he sees them, and he drops all of his bags, and he starts saluting these soldiers. And I'm just like, God, stop it. First of all, they're asleep. They're trying to sleep.
Right.
I said, you have got to gain control of yourself right now, because they're not going to let us on this plane. So I'm shaking some sense into him, right? We get on the plane. we get on the plane, and again, it's a red eye. I fall asleep. All of a sudden, I wake up and I'm like, God, like, what is that smell? Like, it stinks. I'm like, oh, whatever food they are serving, like, it reeks. And so I like try to go back to sleep. And then like it dawns on me. I'm like, wait a minute, it's a red eye. They don't serve food in the middle of the night. Like, right, like what is that? I look over, my husband's gone, right? And so I was like, shit. So I'm waiting. All of a sudden I see him come down the aisle in his fucking wife beater. And I'm like, what is happening? What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I threw up everywhere. Or I threw up into my barf bag or whatever, but it had a hole in it. And I'm like, you fucking missed. It didn't have a hole in it. Like, you missed, right? Like, oh, I was so mad at him, right? So I had to give him my sweater, right? So I mean, it was like a sweatshirt, you know, like a Charger sweatshirt probably or something like that. So I give him my sweatshirt. I mean, it was like a disaster. One of those like worst flights ever, right? Like, have you ever been hungover on a flight, right? Like, you think that's bad? Yeah. No, next to a drunk who's thrown up all over himself, that is worse. I was so angry. I'm like, we haven't even started our vacation and you're going to start on like dry. I swear it took him like the whole next day to recover from that. I was so mad at him. So yeah, that was like one of my most, with my husband, annoying drunk stories.
Good. Perfect. And you threw him completely under the bus.
Yeah,
too.
no,
yes! Perfect. Perfect. Good job. Good job. Well, Valerie, where can people find you if they want to come find you online?
Oh, so Instagram. So my Instagram is Bourbon_Vixen. I do like, what are you drinking tonight posts. I do my football bourbon pairings. You'll know that I'm a big Chargers fan. So I do that. I sometimes do cocktail recipes on there. I don't know, just like whatever fun holiday stuff. Yeah. Bourbon Vixen.
Awesome. Heck Bourbon Vixen on Instagram. Alex, yes. Where do they find us at Soberless Thoughts?
Well, they can find us on all social medias, meaning Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. One of these days we'll get a TikTok, but yes, at Soberless Thoughts or at Think Soberless. Don't forget, you can like, share, comment on all things Soberless Thoughts on any kind of podcaster, meaning iTunes, Spotify, anywhere really you can get podcasts. But if you don't want to go through the hassle going all those individually, guess what? We do have a website. So soberlessthoughts.com. I didn't say www to show how old I am. So like I said, if all that doesn't work for you, please just tell your family, friends, loved ones, enemies, anybody you want to. Next time you fight that homeless guy in the parking lot, right before you all throw down, go, hey, if you listen to Soberless Thoughts, and then just get it out of the way. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
That's where you can find Soberless Thoughts. And when you find yourself in a skillet, you need to stay cheesy, keep it greasy, and flip on out.